Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If becoming a mangaka in One Piece world. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 231, a new manga is about to appear. The new saga, Water 7 Saga. Ohara Island. Sigh, everyone seems disappointed that Bleach is over. Should I compensate them with a new manga? What am I going to draw this time? Demon Slayer? So good for swordsmen in this world. They will benefit much more from Bleach, given that Bleach's techniques require the existence of Ryatsu, who doesn't exist in this world. Dragon Ball Z? This world will be shocking to them. It might cause the world government to have nightmares. What about Berserk? It's more terrifying. There are so many stories to choose from to the point that I am confused. Let's see, what does this world need now? Since the Hunters system has started to change the system of this world, I think I have found the right story to broaden everyone's horizons. Rob was propping his body on the luxury Rolls-Royce Cullinan he had bought from the system shop while he slowly smoked a cigarette. Every time he wanted to clear his mind to choose a new story to draw or show as an anime, he would come to this place where he could see the cute whale and enjoy the wonderful spring weather of this island. Rob's eyes reflected a black mountain sprayed seawater on the little shadows. They were playing around him happily. Those little shadows were his 4 daughters. Rudius D. Robin. Rudius Hancock. Rudius Sanders Sonia. Rudius Marigold. Robin's full name in the manga is Nico Robin, but in this different timeline, everything has changed. Even Robin's name was decided even before she was born. Of course, since her father is still alive, it's not surprising that Robin gets his first name instead of her mother's first name. As for the 3 sisters, after he adopted them, Rob gave them the first part of his name, but he couldn't give them the D of his name because after all, they weren't from the D clan. Only Robin, who was his true daughter, could really get his full first name. The first name Boa from the manga is a first name given to the Empress of Amazon Lily and not their real first name, even his new wife Glora. She called Boa Gloriosa as her full name. This is evidence of her status as Empress, even though she gave up her title as Empress to the new generation and devoted herself entirely to serving her husband. But she still has a great influence on Amazon Lily. Dad. We want to swim with Laboon. But. Little Robin ran towards Rob, but she stopped to gulp air because of the fast running before she could speak. Rob carried her in his arms easily. My sweetie wants to swim? But she doesn't know how, isn't it? Yes, Hancock and the rest want to swim too, but Hancock can't swim anymore for some reason, while me, Sonia, and Mary are still very young, so we don't know how to swim. Her childish voice was fun to hear for Rob. Well, since my little princess wants to swim with her sisters and Laboon, this dad will swim with you too. Dad is the best. Little Robin hugged her father happily. Having already decided on the story that would replace Bleach, Rob spent the rest of the day swimming with his children. Even Hancock, who cannot swim due to the curse of the devil fruit, enjoyed playing in the seawater under Rob's care. Arg! On an island in the New World, the roar of a certain monster sounded hysterical. Everything near him was destroyed, and none of his crew could approach him to calm him down or something. Even the 3 calamities. Since leaving Sky Island in that miserable state, Kaido has been drinking wine and crying all the time. He's been on a rampage the whole time. Just like the last time in the Alabasta Sea, where the same current situation was repeated, although he didn't come out with a heavy physical injury like the last time, his psyche and spirit were dealt a devastating hit. Kaido had never experienced such a setback before. King shook his head in disappointment while observing Kaido's actions from afar. It's now practically confirmed that Kaido can't be the Joy Boy he's been waiting for. Maybe the real Joy Boy hasn't been born yet. King Oralber looked at the One Piece manga book in his hand, as Luffy's smiling face appeared on the page of the volume. King put the manga book aside, then summoned the window of the global chat system. After understanding this chat system well in the past weeks, recently he had a bold idea. What if there are other members of his race that are well hidden somewhere in this world? How can he communicate with them? This global chat system seemed like such a straightforward solution. Global chat room. +1 4 5 6 7 8 9 message. This room was active around the hour. People gradually used to enter this room to check the news from all the seas the moment it fell. For example, the moment a pirate attacks a certain place, they are reported directly in this chat room, which calls for the alertness of the nearby navy and the nearby hunters, which leads to the arrest of the pirates in a very short time. People are already starting to realize the huge benefits of a global chat system. But what only King realized according to his urgent need was that he could communicate with more than one language. The user can use the language he is fluent in to write a message. He doesn't need to communicate in the common language. Albert, New World and RN $$, % euro yen cent pound. Carlo, West Blue at Albert, what language are you writing with? Sandro, Paradise at Albert at Carlo, maybe he's messing with the keyboard? Celestial Dragon Marwold, Red Line at Albert, it's another person cursing us indirectly. King didn't care about ordinary people's responses, but he felt a wave of anger that could burn everything when he saw a damned celestial dragon responding to him. In fact, only people who mastered the ancient language could understand his message. No one but the language experts of Ohara and his race remnants could understand what he said, so he wasn't worried. Dear, there is someone who can write with the ancient language in the global chat room. Let me see. After hearing what Alvia said, Rob looked at the chat window and could see Albert's message on top of interests, being forwarded so often that it couldn't get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of messages and stayed on top. He searches for other members of his race this way. What a genius. Dear, do you know him? Of course, I know him. He is the first calamity in the Beast Pirates, King. While Moby Dick's ship was sailing toward an island under Whitebeard's protection, a member of Whitebeard's crew came out of the art store and ran towards the ship's deck. Oh Yaji. Guys, you should see this. The art store murals have been changed again. Gorararara. Looks like the kid is starting to beat the drums of another war, after teaching Shiki and Kaido a great lesson. So what's the name of the next saga? The title of the next saga is Water 7 Saga. Water 7? Isn't it the famous shipyard in Paradise? Chapter 232, Next Saga Stars? Navy and World Government. Let's see what fun things coming in the next arcs on the murals. After Whitebeard, it was Roger's turn to be stunned. The moment Roger and his partners entered the art store on their ship, they instinctively felt that the store had changed, and then they all looked toward the walls. The pictures of the Sky Island saga disappeared and have been changed by the pictures of the Water 7 saga. Only through these pictures can they feel that the upcoming events will be very explosive, perhaps much more than the previous ones. Isn't that a naval base? What is the Straw Hat crew doing on a naval base, I wonder? As soon as Rayleigh said that, the rest of the crew's attention was focused on the picture of the naval base poster. Underneath the poster is the arc's title, confirming the speculations of Rayleigh and the rest. Arc title, G8 Arc. This naval base is in Paradise. I wonder if there will be a war between the Straw Hat Pirates and the Navy? Who knows? Looks like the next arc. It's going to be great for sure. We'll know everything about it soon. Let's see the next arc. Long Ring Long Land Arc? It's named after an island. That guy. He is from the Navy and has an ice logia. Why he is on the poster's head? I remember he's a vice admiral. Roger and his crew felt that this arc wasn't as simple as it appeared from the poster. Just seeing Luffy and his partners on the defensive made them sure they would face a formidable enemy. At Marineford the commotion was much greater than in the rest of the world. This is because the next arc is titled after a naval base, so the warning status has been raised to the maximum level. They haven't forgotten the damage the manga was caused to the Navy's prestige. First, the Shellstown arc, then the Arlong arc, and the Alabasta arc. All of these arcs caused the Navy to lose a lot of faith and confidence from the people. They've been so damaged even when they're not the stars of the show in the arc, So what when the next arc is in a naval base? Boom! Damn! Sengoku hit his desk so hard that it broke in the middle. Calm down, Sengoku, it's not certain that Boy's intentions will be malicious, maybe we can take advantage of the next arc. Sengoku looked at Garp as if he was looking at an idiot. Do you really think that Guy will show our bright side to the world in the whole arc? You must be joking? I didn't say he would show our bright side, but at least remember that he not only featured evil characters like Morgan and Nezumi but also good characters like Smoker and Tashigi and me, right? You think that you're a good character? Go to hell. Garp, you bastard, you must have forgotten that we are dealing with the highest bounty criminal of the current generation? If you forget this, let me remind you also that a good navy will become a malign navy in the eyes of readers the moment they go after your grandson and his crew. Don't you at least get this point? Garp kept scratching his nose without care to Sengoku's shouting. He gave his thoughts and it over. Outside the Fleet Admiral's office. Did you heard the last news? Urgent news has arrived from Marigoa. Yes, I heard that. It said that the next arcs will see the Straw Hat Pirates against both the Navy and the world government. Oh my gosh. How is this going to end? I heard that the next arc is named after a base from our Navy, is that true? Not only that, but there's another arc named after a government facility. It's called the Enies Lobby Arc. This is scary. What is the Sky Sword planning to do? I don't care, but I'm really excited about the upcoming saga. I heard that another arc will be showing Vice Admiral Kuzan. You seem to be on the cusp of fame, Kuzan-san. Kuzan looked at the man with a provocative expression but didn't feel provoked by him, because this man's face had actually been like this the whole time. Yes, I'll be famous, are you jealous? Why would I be jealous? Sooner or later I will appear too, my appearance will definitely be more amazing than yours. Sakazuki looked at the duo and shook his head in disappointment. These idiots are not looking at the serious side of the matter. Kuzan, have you not yet realized the danger of a Navy high power appearing in the manga? Kuzan thought for a while before answering Sakazuki. If the manga really shows the future, I don't think it will present me badly, just like Garp-san. You ignorant fool. Ohara. One Piece fans seem excited about the upcoming arcs. I'm excited too. And I think you are too, Toki-san. Sitting in the art store, Sora and Toki were talking about the leading topic of the day. Do you think there will come a time when we will also appear in the manga? Toki is surprised by this question, but she still answers it. I have a feeling that my appearance in the manga will not be as good as I hope. Phew. I feel the same way. Really? What is the reason? Do we need to talk to Rob about this matter? Toki shook her head, dismissing Sora's idea. I think it's best to accept everything the husband does without question, even if our appearance in the manga is unsatisfactory. Sora bit her cherry lips as if she was blaming herself for her hasty thought. Not necessarily that our feeling will come true, maybe our appearance in the manga will be good? I understand your concerns, but whatever happens, I don't care, all I care about is Rob's comfort. At night. Dear Alvia. Rob was hugging Alvia and little Robin, who were sleeping on his lap like satisfied cats. Alvia was a little exhausted since she had moved to oversee quite a few art stores today, so as soon as she got into the bedroom she really fell asleep. Although tired, she woke up the moment Rob called her. She wasn't weak enough to fall asleep easily. What is it, dear? The Enies Lobby arc will be your first appearance in the manga. Huh? Really? Alvia woke up completely after hearing this. Don't get excited, calm down, little Robin is sleeping, you know. Oh, sorry, I got a little excited. Since I'm going to appear, that means you will also appear, right? At this moment Rob fell into complete silence. Enies Lobby's arc was like a thorn stuck in Rob's throat. He wanted to prepare her emotionally so that she wouldn't be badly affected by Nico Robin's bitter flashback, but he couldn't find the right words to say it now. It would have been better if he had left her asleep. Chapter 233, The Best Feature of the System? The new manga news leaked. Ever since Rob meets this crazy woman, he's been feeling bad omen about her. He was too weak compared to her. This meant that everything he was planning and building in this world was just a joke for her. The moment she decides to annihilate him or harm his loved wives, she can do so with the flick of a finger. It all depends on her mood. Of course, in his case, she wouldn't be able to annihilate him, because he is immortal, but that doesn't mean that he will not become her slave. Just like Tatsumi when he fell into the hands of his death. Akane ga kill. He had a feeling that this woman wasn't different from his death in her thinking. They were both insane and without common sense. For Rob, he can't put his safety and the safety of his loved wives in the hands of a crazy woman. Her insanity clearly exceeded all common sense. He wouldn't feel strange if he knew that she had allowed the celestial dragons to do whatever they wanted in this world on a whim. Looks like it's time to use that feature. At level 14, Rob got a new feature, arguably the best he's gotten from the system so far. This is because this feature is the only one yet that can help him raise his power. This feature is called Characters Templates, Gotcha. Just as its name suggests, he can get the character templates he created in anime or manga. That means everything a character has except for the soul. But this feature is not absolute, or else Rob would have become a god long ago. In the past weeks, Rob has read the last 2 chapters of the manga One Piece, where the real author confirmed that Pluton is indeed in Wano. On the tongue of the current shogun of Wano, Kazuki Sukiyaki. Of course, Rob and Alvia knew about the truth that Pluton exists in Wano country a long time ago because they had read the contents of the poneglyphs in Alabasta, but they didn't say this truth out loud and only kept it in their hearts. All they said is that Pluton was already in Alabasta, and they let Cobra and the world think that Pluton is still in Alabasta. But this wasn't the truth. In fact, the moment he knew the ancient weapon was in Wano country, Rob had expected it to be revealed in the Wano arc. When he told the Big Mom pirates that he got the ancient weapon, it wasn't a lie either. That's because he already knew where Pluton was, and he could take it out whenever he wanted to. Since he doesn't need it, why would he take it out? It is better to keep it as a trump card. However, Rob is not satisfied with the few secrets Oda has revealed in the arc so far. The Wano arc was good enough to reveal a lot, but since it's not finished yet, some secrets may still be revealed in future chapters. Even Buggy has become a Yonko. What's wrong with this world? Rob was holding in his hands the latest issue of Shonen Jump magazine. He finally got to know the face and name of Admiral Rokojyu. This person by the name of Aramaki has been kept a mystery for a long time. He was not something very special to Rob, he is clearly a user of plants Logia. But that was just a small surprise compared to the fact that Buggy became Yonko. How did this happen? Did he have Yonko's strength the whole time and pretend to be weak under the clown's guise for a specific purpose? For the first time, Rob felt a mystery enveloping a certain character that he always thought was just a comedy addition from the author. Rob once thought that due to his contribution to motivating Buggy by making him a joke in the manga, Buggy might really become a Yonko in the future with Shanks. But he didn't think he would actually become a Yonko in the original story. What a shock! After coming to terms with this shocking fact, Rob decided not to ignore Buggy from now on. Luffy has finally become a Yonko. That's great, what a long ride. Rob was thrilled to see his favorite character climb to the top step by step. Rob wondered how readers would react when the manga in the pirates' world would get to this point. It will definitely be very explosive. Grand Line, an island in paradise. Did you hear that? You must be talking about the contents of this newspaper? Who hasn't heard that? Yes, this new newspaper has entered the market strongly. It's called World Economy Newspaper. If the news is true, then it really deserves this name. If the art store starts releasing new manga to replace Bleach, it can't be inferior to Bleach, can it? This is obvious. Mihawk's ears twitched when he heard the name Bleach. He really misses this good manga. Mihawk stood in front of the two who were talking, and he demanded the newspaper from them. The person handed the newspaper to him shivering and hurriedly left. In front of them stood the famous guy known as Hawkeye after all. The art store surprises continue, new manga coming to compensate for Bleach's departure. Source, Store's Goddess. Mihawk read the long article in one breath, and his eyes showed some mockery. As if Bleach could be compensated. Mihawk threw the newspaper away before continuing his way out of town. The floating island, Merville. Since the frustrating bouts of Shiki's madness after the agonizing loss of Rob ended, a murderous calm enveloped this place for a very long time. Not only did Rob cut off one of his legs, but he also implanted a deep shadow of fear in his heart. The fear. He was the Golden Lion and no one else. How could he be afraid of someone else? This loss caused him great frustration, but he still got past this bitter situation because of the Mang. But when he's starting to show signs of getting back to normal, the Bleach manga has come to an end, causing him to frustrate once again. Captain, you need to see this newspaper. At this moment, one of his subordinates entered his personal hall with the World Economy newspaper in his hand. The Golden Lion appeared sitting on what looked like a king's throne. Even his leg that Rob had cut off seemed as if it had not separated from his body at all. But in fact, it didn't have the same strength it had in the past. It was now just an ordinary leg. The most it could do was walk. This is because the doctors on his island reattach it to his body before it was too late. Since it didn't take long after it was cut, it wasn't difficult to reattach it. This avoided the fate of a disability, but for a strong person of his level, having a weak leg was no different from being handicapped. Golden Lion Shiki shook his head to see who dared to bother him at this dreary time. From that frightened look the subordinate felt the blood on his body freeze. He didn't delay prostrating in front of the Golden Lion and deeply apologizing before extending the newspaper. Shiki grabbed the newspaper and looked at it. Is new manga coming? So why hasn't the art store announced it yet? Chapter 234, Getting a Character's Template. Back to Rob, he was locking himself up in his personal section inside the Ohara art store. Only here could he escape the senses of that crazy stalker. That was how he felt. Since he had been feeling extremely threatened recently, he decided to use the ultimate feature in his hand. If he could get a good character template from Bleach, as well as his own strength and his immortality, he wouldn't feel so threatened by Emu at that time. He hasn't harnessed this ability yet because it has strict requirements. If he wants to obtain a character template from one of the mangas he draws, the condition for using this feature is to finish the manga, and unless he finishes it, he will not be able to activate the feature no matter how hard he tries. But for the anime, it is a little different. He can activate the feature once one season of the anime is finished, but of course, he will only get a template of the characters that appeared in that season. Rob looked at the system window and couldn't contain the increasing enthusiasm of the gacha within him. Characters template, gacha level 14 feature. Luck plays an important role in this feature. Once you get the rights to activate it on a specific story world, you can get a weak character template or a strong character template. Everything depends on your luck. Once you get a template from a particular story, you can't get another one from the same story. The stories that you can use the feature on: Attack on Titan anime, Season 1. Bleach manga, completed. He can only try his luck on these two, but once he finishes HXH soon he will get another chance to activate this gacha feature. In addition to Naruto as well, he can get a decent character template even though it's only the first season. But One Piece, neither the anime nor the manga will end anytime soon, and he himself was the best character template in this world, so he didn't really need to try his luck in the One Piece story. He wanted the powers of a different world. This will make him reassured. Let's give it a try. Rob chose the Bleach manga to try his luck, and that's obvious. Although there are titans in Aodi, most of the other characters are completely ordinary, and even the character templates that have the strength of the titan are not really strong for Rob. That's why Bleach is the best choice. Of course, he still has a chance to choose a character template from Aodi, Season 1, and he will definitely use it when the time comes. This is because there is no problem with stacking the templates. This will only make him more strong. The moment he activated the gacha feature, appeared in front of him was a book like Bleach volume. This book, except for him, could not be seen, because it was nothing but a projection from the system screen. Rob opened the manga book, but it was completely empty, but suddenly a circular shape resembling a gambling game appeared in the middle of the manga book. Rob took a closer look at the strange gambling game. It appears as the famous gacha game. Here, he can experience the sensation of winning or losing. At this point, Rob's blood was already boiling. On the sides of the gacha game, as Rob called it, several colors indicate the levels of templates he can get. The white color indicates the template of an ordinary human, but a little talented. Of course, any character that appeared in Bleach, no matter how ordinary it is, has some talent in different walks of life. But that's not what Rob wishes he had, because it would be a huge loss. Yellow indicates a stronger character than the ordinary human. Khan, Liondoll, can be categorized at this point. Orange indicates a character cast with spiritual power. It could be Quincy, Shinigami, or even Hollow. Then comes green, red, purple, and gold, respectively. If Rob could guess well, only characters of the Soul King and Yawatch level would be at the gold level. Any character from this level can rule the world with their terrifying power. Of course, this part is only the first stage of gacha, in which he will choose the level of characters that will be available to him to obtain a template. Only in the second stage, he will get a character template. Rob looked at the arrow that wasn't pointing to any color. Once activated, it would eventually stop at one of those colors. What level of the template will I get? I wonder. System, activate the first stage of gacha. Rob can't wait any longer. Whatever template will get won't affect his character in any way. Even if it's a female template, it will only enhance his strength. Isn't that what he wanted in the first place? Increasing his strength and future prospects. If he obtained a good mold, even if it was just a red mold, he would benefit greatly because he would get the Ryatsu. That's the best of it. The ghostly arrow started spinning at an incredible speed, like the clock arrow, out of control, and didn't stop at any color. Not even Rob could see it because of its speed. This was an element of the system, so wanting to look through it was just wishful thinking. System slowed down for a few seconds, then stop. Responding to the host's order, the ghostly arrow gradually started to slow down until Rob could see it again, but even so, he had no idea where it would stop. Even extrapolating the future with the observation hockey didn't help. In Rob's future vision, the arrow was still spinning. Sigh, I can't see through the system in any way. The arrow started to slow down as if it would stop at any moment, causing the three Rob's hearts to slow down as well. After a few seconds, the arrow finally stopped. When he saw where the arrow had stopped, Rob's eyelashes did tremble and he couldn't help but curse out loud. Mother fasterous cur. Just a little push and I was going to hit gold. On the game board, the arrow appeared to stop at the end of the color purple. Just a small push and it will enter the gold color. System, turn on the second stage of gacha. After swallowing the bitterness of not being able to ascend to the sky in one step, Rob moved to the second gacha. Well, the purple level isn't bad either. In front of Rob, the gacha board turned into a different shape, where it was completely covered in purple, and many strong characters that Rob knew, Shinigami captains, Quincy leaders, espadas, and many strong figures appeared. Getting the power of any of them would be a huge boost for Rob. The second game has already started to spin. This time Rob wished to get the power of people like Aizen or Yamamoto or a member of Squad Zero. For Ichigo, even if he wanted to get it, he wouldn't get it because Rob saw Ichigo's figure as not as bright as the others, obviously not able to get the protagonist character template. The arrow started slowing down again until it finally stopped. This. Not bad. A big smile appeared on Rob's face because the character template he got is actually quite good. Espada number 4 in Aizen's army. Congratulations, you have obtained the character template, Ulquiorra cipher. Would you like to absorb it now? F***CK. Great. Chapter 235, Ulquiorra cipher template. Congratulations, you've obtained character template, Ulquiorra cipher. Would you want to absorb it now? Alvia's soft voice echoed in his ear, which doubled his happiness even further. Yes. As soon as he gave the order, a different system window appeared before him that did not exist before. The system window was lit up with white light and a progress tape appeared in the middle of it. When the progress tape reached 100%, happened what Rob expected. 3D hologram of Ulquiorra appeared. Does the host want to integrate the template directly into your body, or maintain it as a template that you can switch to whenever you like? Warning: although integrating the template with your body may elevate your life level to the next level, it can have disastrous consequences because the Ulquiorra race is from the undead race. The lightest consequence is to change your shape, and the heaviest consequence is to weaken you rather than strengthen you. What is the difference between merging the template with my body and keeping it as a template only? Rob was confused. If you choose to fully integrate with it, then it will no longer remain under the control of the system, but if you choose to keep it as a template, it will be under the control of the system, so there will be no problem in showing its power as you want when you need. Holistic AI gave him a reasonable explanation, so Rob no longer hesitated and said directly, "Keep it as a template for now." As soon as he said that, Ulquiorra's hologram disappeared, and a row of words appeared on the system window. Character template. 1 Ulquiorra cipher, Bleach manga. Rob became more and more excited to experience the power of one of his favorite characters. It didn't bother him if it was hollow or not, as long as he could get his power, everything else didn't matter. The host can activate the template just by thinking about it. The system will take care of everything. One of the system's advantages that the host hasn't yet discovered is the transformation of art into reality. Rob was dumbfounded after hearing this because he had gotten a full explanation of all the antics of the system so far. This was because he got the art publishing system at the beginning, not the template system. So it turns out that the system can actually turn the art he makes into reality. Doesn't that mean that it's not just the templates? But it can even make the worlds that he draws. Rob didn't dare to think anymore, because that was too much. He didn't want to get his hopes up and be shocked by the harsh reality in the end. Getting the power of his drawn characters was enough at this moment. As soon as he thought about it, Rob's 3 hearts started thumping hard, and then his skin started to turn white. It seemed strange and frightening at the same time. Even though his shape was changing, he didn't feel anything unusual. Only when the transformation was over did he start to feel a new power in his body. The moment he opened his eyes, a stifling pressure appeared that made his surroundings look like a heavily gravitational field. That was the pressure of the spiritual energy. It's similar to Conqueror hockey pressure, but it's 2 different things. Rob felt completely familiar with this terrifying energy even though it was the first time he had used it. The Ryatsa's energy within my body is terrifying. My body strength became immeasurably solid. And this is... Rob sensed an extra presence in his body, looked at the lower half of his body, and found what caught his attention. Then he pulled the sword from its sheath. In his hand appeared a standard-sized katana with a green handle and sheath. The guard has 2 curved extensions from its long sides with a line going through both sides, giving it an eye-like appearance. This is Ulquiorra's Zanpakuto. Its name is Murcielago. I can't believe I got Zanpakuto too. At this moment Rob was very happy. He had never felt this happiness before. The amount of spiritual energy in his body made him unable to calm down even if he wanted to. Fortunately, he was inside the art store that blocking out his auras. If he was outside, all of O'Hara's people would fall on the ground by the suffocating pressure of spiritual energy. He might cause the faints of hearts to die. This spiritual energy is not inferior to Big Mom at her peak, and may even exceed her. That's just in his normal mode. He didn't even liberate the first stage of Resurrection, let alone the most terrifying second stage. Rob had a feeling that his Lightning God state, considered one of his strongest cards, could only compare to the Resurrection's first stage. Since he had a comprehensive understanding of his own power, and now had a near-comprehensive understanding of Ulquiorra's power, he had access to such an accurate assessment. If just Ulquiorra is at this level, how strong is Aizen? Rob bent his fingers and a glass barrier appeared in front of him. The barrier looked like a mirror. Well, he summoned it for this purpose only. Devil Fruit's abilities could be developed in any direction, not just the direction of battle power. Rob looked at his reflection in the mirror and wasn't surprised. If he went outside like that, no one would recognize him as the respectable art store owner, but rather as the terrifying Espada number 4. He saw Arrancar little, thin but muscular. Unlike the original Ulquiorra who was short, Rob kept his usual height. He has fairly short messy black hair, pale white skin, a black upper lip, and green eyes with small slit-shaped pupils similar to a cat. Part of his bangs fall between his eyes, and he has distinctively thick eyebrows. He has teal lines which descend from the lower part of his eyes. As a hollow, he has a hole located on the base of his throat. The remainder of his hollow mask lies on the top left side of his head, forming a broken horned helmet. Also, his espada tattoo lies on the left side of his chest. What made Rob speechless was that even his clothes had changed. He was wearing Arrancar clothes, a white jacket, black sash, and a white hakama. His shape looked harmonious and amazing by all standards. The hole below his throat made him look even more adorable. Although he looked more like Ulquiorra than himself, his facial features were still clear because this was his body after all. Everything that Ulquiorra owned at his peak has become his. Even number 4 in the Eisen army. Rob didn't know what to say about it. He had read a lot of novels about the templates, but his template was the most perfect thing he had ever seen. He didn't need any mod integration upgrading or anything like that. He got the peak of Ulquiorra's power right from the start. Even his clothes, his sword, and everything he owns except his soul. If the system copied everything from Ulquiorra, then its copy is perfect, not even a single difference. With this, I won't even be afraid of Emu. Finally, Rob was relieved. In addition to Ulquiorra's strength, he had his strength that was no weaker than Ulquiorra's in his second liberation of the Zanpakuto. The result wasn't as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. It could be said that his strength had seen a huge leap exponentially. He's back to being invincible again. Chapter 236, the last episode of Naruto, Season 1. The world. Yes. Seek freedom, and your world will stand stretched out before your eyes. If the endless dream guides your spirits, conquer it. Bear conviction behind your flag. With the end of the narrator's harsh voice, have began echoes the favorite song to the inhabitants of the pirates' world resounded once more, bringing a kind of joy and happiness to their hearts. This song was One Piece 3, Hikari. Musical notes Boku wa Ayame Sagashi Hajimite Mizushibuki Ajit Hata Shinikutsu Zuko Sekai Musical notes. Musical note Afuretasa Junetsu o Mune Nidokyo Maiden mo Yukuyo Musical notes. Musical score Mata Minu Hikari Motami Musical score. Every time this song is played in the pirates' world, everyone is silent in appreciation of its wonderful and resonant lyrics, as well as the fun scenes among the Straw Hat crew undergoing merry ship. Additional things that distinguished Rob's touch from the original show was that he used the show's original 3-minute opening song instead of only half of it, with the opening song scenes modified to more varied scenes that show a bit more advanced events. With this touch, in addition to all the modifications that are similar to the manga instead of the unreasonable studio edits, One Piece anime in this world has become a perfect gem that can move any viewer and make them fall in love with this legendary anime series. Although Rob made the manga colorful and drawn with great precision to the point that matched Oda's drawing skill in the Wano arc, there is still a huge difference between the manga and the anime. Almost 2 years after the anime premiere, everyone knows this difference well. The only advantage of the manga was its great advance over the anime in events, otherwise, everyone would be satisfied with watching the anime instead of reading the manga. And Rob knows this very well, so he decided that except for One Piece, he will not make an anime for any other manga that he publishes in the future until after it's over. The same applies to anime, he will not create a manga for an anime he has previously shown. With all the extra rich art of great songs and animation, it's hardly surprising that the anime is better than the manga. The opening songs, the OSTs, and the ending songs all contributed to giving life to the show. This is what the manga lacks and cannot provide. And this is what the anime succeeded in providing. In fact, if One Piece manga wasn't embodied the pirates' world they live in, fans wouldn't give it more importance than great anime like HXH, Naruto, and AOT. On the rooftop of the Art Palace, Rob was laughing at the cuteness of his children who almost danced to the beat of the great opening song. Unfortunately, it ended before they actually started dancing. Another hour episode of One Piece has begun. The show had already passed the vital point of the Alabasta arc where Luffy brought down Crocodile. The world has been reminded once again of the lost Alabasta and the ancient weapon Pluton and Crocodile that have been got a bounty on his head in the past months. What they almost forgot came back to the fore by force because of the anime. And what almost Rob had been forgetting for so long knocked on his doors at this moment. Dad! Why is Miss All Sunday called Robin like me? And why does she look like my mom? Little Robin's big eyes were shining with stars as she saw Nico Robin reading the poem for Crocodile. Before that, she was very sad for Princess Vivi, who was crying out loud to stop the war between the rebels and the royal army. But going back to the events in the royal vault, Robin's name was revealed, and the little girl was completely suspicious. Robin is almost 2 years old already, but at this very young age, ridiculously she has intelligence. Everyone can only see this by looking at the other children of her same age, Sander, Sonia and Marigold, who really act like children. Even the 3-year-old Hancock is much inferior to her. Oh? Didn't I tell you before? Nico Robin is you, Robin-chan. Rob pulled little Robin's body over his shoulder and hugged her toward his face. Little Robin was dumbfounded after hearing her father's answer. She's been watching One Piece since she opened her eyes to this world. But only now did she find out that she was participating in this anime. Rob noticed her confusion and tried his best to muffle his urge to laugh. She was so cute after all. You know, your dad is the one who created this anime, so how can I not make my daughter one of the heroes of this show? My sweet daughter will become one of the best characters in the anime, she will become her father's favorite star, and she will be loved by everyone in the world. Little Robin felt an unbelievable feeling of happiness at this moment. In front of her, her father was saying that she would become the brightest star in this world. Even though she was just a spoiled little child, she had tremendous awareness, no less than that of an adult, all thanks to the genes she had inherited from her father, in which not even her father himself knew how terrifying the immortal body was given to him by the gods. That's why she knew there was a deeper truth than what her father had said. On the side, Alvia watched this scene with a soft smile that concealed some deep concern. This concern wasn't hidden from Rouge by her side. After all, she was in the same situation. She also had a son in the manga, whose fate did not seem to be good. Rouge looked at Sora, Toki, and the others who were apparently in a formal relationship with Rob when she left to spend a few days with her husband. She wasn't too shocked because she knew that's what it would end up being. After the weekly show of One Piece ended, viewers returned to their normal lives. Although the news of the ancient weapon came back to the fore, it did not have a big impact. What happened because of the manga was enough. Everyone is still looking for Alabasta to get the ancient weapon already. Only a few people knew that the ancient weapon had already fallen into Rob's hands. On Whole Cake Island, all that can be heard after the episode ends is Charlotte Lean's evil laughter. The Big Mom pirates were the only ones who knew where the new Alabasta location was. In fact, they still got shocked every time they thought of how to move an island this big to the sky. Maybe even Shiki, who had the floating fruit, couldn't do that. But after seeing Rob's battle against Shiki and Kaido and seeing how he suppressed them in one move, the Big Mom pirates felt that sending Alabasta into the sky seemed very ordinary. The next day, a new episode of the highly anticipated Naruto anime was released. After Aodi, this time another anime has come to an end. Yes, this episode was the last episode of the first season of Naruto. After 2 years of the show, without adding any fillers, the first season of the Naruto anime has finally come to an end. After the failed mission to retrieve Sasuke, the mission team returned to Konoha village, and Naruto went on a training trip with his mentor Jiraiya. At Wano, the viewers' feelings were already at their height. For example, Reizo was holding back tears while hearing the famous oast of Naruto. It's clear that the end is near. Because he can saw the last episode of Season 1 at the bottom of the screen clearly. Kiba, that said, looks like Naruto finally left for training. Shoji, I heard that Jiraiya will be his teacher. Kiba, damn it. That boy will become strong again. Shino, looks like the village will be quiet for a while. Shoji, from another angle, that's a little sad, isn't it? Rock Lee, no. This is not the time to be sad. I have to work hard. I will redouble my efforts more and more. If I don't work 100 times harder than Naruto, I won't be able to face him the next time we meet. Jiraiya, it's time to leave, Naruto. Naruto, alright. I'm leaving, Irika-sensei. I'll make up for the ramen as soon as I succeed. Irika, good luck, Naruto. When Naruto reached out to the rocky face of the fourth Hokage asking it to take care of him, Reizo felt suffocated. He watched this boy grow up to this point. So many sad scenes came back to Naruto's only life story and he couldn't stop his tears from flowing. Kinemon and the rest of Akazaya shook their heads helplessly. Every time Reizo watched Naruto, he'd either collapse in tears for no reason or scream with happiness, not to mention this is the last episode. After the end of the episode, a teaser for Naruto Part 2 appeared, featuring the young man Naruto. Reizo stopped crying as his eyes sparkled with excitement. After all, Naruto is not ended. Naruto Shippuden is coming. Chapter 237, the last episode of HXH. The next day, the last episode of HXH was also shown, which was fantastic on all the levels, as it relived most of the important moments of the show in its entirety and reminded viewers of what they had seen in the past 2 years. But even so, it can be said that this month is a very terrible month for otakus in the pirate world because it's the month of their favorite show's end. Last week, the Bleach manga ended, then the first part of the Naruto anime ended yesterday, and today the iconic anime, Hunter x Hunter, has ended also. As for the Bleach manga, it ended completely with almost no return, as the entire story was shown. This is if Rob doesn't touch the novel in the future or if the manga returns to the planet Earth. As for Naruto, it was only the first season that ended, and he will still return after a while in his second season, which is eagerly awaited by everyone, and Naruto fans in particular. But regarding HXH, there was no clear attitude from Rob. Everything about this ending is opaque. Of course, the ending was extremely satisfactory and the curtain opened to an immeasurably huge world that made even the forces of the pirate world shiver. Even the rulers of the world government and the celestial dragons were utterly dumbfounded. This huge world is called the Dark Continent. What Gon's father, Jing Freak's revelation about, left viewers in the pirate world in such a state of shock that they wanted to watch more of that anime, and the feeling of unwillingness towards the end of this anime became even greater in their hearts. What comforted them though was that this big reveal of the world's mysteries underlined the fact that the story of the Hunter's world doesn't seem to have come to an end by the end of the anime. Perhaps there will be another season coming. Although there was no announcement of an upcoming season at the end of the episode as happened with the Naruto anime, this is why HXH fans have a small hope that their favorite show will come back. Author's note: poor people don't know that Togashi suffers from prolonged back pain. Every fortunate island that owns an art store on its territory shone brightly because of the huge screens of art stores. In addition, no sound could ever be higher than the songs of OSTs and the characters' voices. The voices of the thousands of crowds of people stopped completely, as they were focused on the events of the last episode that was going to the end. The second half of the last episode had begun with Gon climbing the gigantic world tree as he relives his journey from its inception. This caused viewers to feel a lot more nostalgic and unwilling than they already were. Like these bitter feelings that all HXH fans on planet Earth have experienced, it's time for the inhabitants of the pirate world to experience it. Because it is clear that the second part of the anime does not seem to be on the horizon. There may be a manga sequel in the future, but Rob sees no hope in the anime unless he gets a feature from the art store that can turn the manga into a high-quality anime. After sacrificing his future potential to kill Patu in his last fight, which was so amazing to viewers at the time, Gon escaped certain death due to Aluka's miraculous ability that brought him back from the cusp of death. The hype around Aluka and Nanaka's appearance still hasn't been able to quell since they appear in the past weeks. This ability to make miracles left even the five elders and Imu speechless for a long time. Since its appearance, those people who watch anime for developmental purposes more than for entertainment purposes have known that the Hunter's world is much deeper than it seems. Perhaps it had even completely surpassed the mystery of their world. Even celestial dragons wished to have Aluka as their slave so that they could fulfill their wishes, as she could almost revive the dead. Couldn't she give immortality too? Or at least thousands of years old? Far from the impossible dreams of celestial dragons, the dramatic scene between Killua, Aluka, and Nanaka touched the ordinary viewers too much. Nanaka, who is the origin of the miraculous ability, has left an unforgettable impression on everyone in the pirate world since her first appearance. Jing, Gon, tell me, how do they describe this tree below? Gon. They describe it as the tallest tree in the world, and its height is 1,784 meters. Jing, that's technically true, but the fact is that this tree is a young shrub that has stopped growing. This world tree didn't get enough lunch and only grew that far. The true world tree can withstand lava, its huge roots are rooted in the mountains, and continues to grow even after it has passed through the atmosphere. Out of this world. Gone, out of this world? Jing, I mean the world map, you know. Gone, huh? Jing, the ants that you fought against them with the boss, were non-native species that came from outside the world. This is the truth that they do not teach you in schools. Right-minded adults choose not to open Pandora's box. In other words, the world we know now is only a small part of a much larger world. Enjoy the side trips. A lot. Something more important than the thing you're hunting could be right there by the side of the road. Equals 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 equals. With the arrival of the wonderful ending song, the audience finally woke up from their stupor. For a while, a quiet silence covered every island that had an art store on its territory. This is the end, then? Although it's a great ending, I still feel frustrated. I understand now my friend who was sad about the end of the Bleach manga. An HXH fan said with great sadness. Sigh, I don't think I'll enjoy another anime as much as I did with HXH. It was a great story, to say the least. Characters like Hisoka, Crawlo Lucifer, and Jing freaks. Where will we see other characters like them? At least, we knew the story wasn't over. I have a feeling it's still in the beginning. I really wish I was born in the world of hunters. Although it is dangerous, it is much safer than our world. Safer? What if you were born in the Dark Continent? Although not a lot of information appeared about it, that one picture showing its size in comparison to the hunter's world made me shiver in fear. The appearance of the Dark Continent, its sheer size compared to Earth, and the strange creatures living on it caused deep confusion to the viewers. At this moment, they remember the first episode of the show and that enthusiastic introduction. It was really related to the Dark Continent. The new world, Hunter's Island, Ring Hell. With the show over, the hunters on this island started to go about their business, but the last words of the legendary hunter, Jing freaks, are still stuck in the minds of all the hunters in the headquarters. These precious words represented the opening of a door to a new world of realization. For them, how many hunters in the pirates' world would these words affect their lives and destinies so deeply? Only the future knows. This type of hunters appeared in the pirates' world primarily because of this anime, so the hunter's reverence for the HXH anime was like the swordsman's reverence for the manga of Bleach. It can be said that they are die-hard fans of their preferred shows. Now, when these shows are over, only Rob knows their frustration. But this frustration cannot continue. Although it looks so real on the screen, it is still a fictional world created by the author, who is their boss. Going back to reality and using the knowledge they gained from the show is much better for them than indulging in frustration. As for Rob, he wasn't frustrated at all. On the contrary, he was happy. He got 2 more chances to get templates, from Naruto and HXH. Isn't that more than enough to be happy? The only frustration is that he invited the current luck fruit user, who is a member of his guild, and asked him to raise his luck and tried to use it on the G Gacha feature, but that didn't work. As expected, a low-level ability can't affect on the system in any way. He had to rely on his own luck to obtain a powerful template. Chapter 238, The New Art? Manhwa Solo Leveling. 2 days after the end of Hunter x Hunter, the bright light returned to the art store screen, surprising the islanders. This screen only worked when there was a specific anime show, but today is not a day to show any anime. In addition, all the anime shows have finished showing except for One Piece. So what is that? Is it a new anime? Thinking about this, ordinary inhabitants, journalists, towns mayors, and everyone else, no matter what their position, felt very anticipating. Ordinary inhabitants get extraordinary entertainment from animes, while journalists and reporters get entertainment and exclusive news. The mayors of the villages get opportunities to make money by organizing special places for many people to watch their favorite shows. The arrival of a new anime means a lot of economic opportunities for the islands that have an art store. Regardless of the people's thoughts when they saw the art screen reappear unscheduled, the light on the art screens became dimmed and blurry, and choppy pictures appeared very similar to manga, but if one focused, they could notice the difference between them. They could sense the difference, but they couldn't tell what it was. After Rob transformed the non-colored nature of manga into a colorful manga, the difference between manhwa and manga was greatly demolished. But this wasn't the only difference between them, as there is a big difference in the way of drawing. The manga looked like it was hand-drawn, but it can be said that the manhwa is computer-drawn. That's why they can't tell the difference. A few words appeared at the top of the display screen. The words seemed extremely clear from everywhere within the land of islands. The awaited new art, manhwa. The new work will be available in art stores starting next week. Manhwa, solo leveling. The background. 10 years ago, after the appearance of the first gate that connected the real world with the world of monsters, every day some ordinary people got the power to hunt monsters within the gates. They are known as hunters. However, not all the hunters are strong. My name is Sung Jin Woo, an E-rank hunter. I am a person with a life-threatening danger even inside the weakest dungeons, world's weakest hunter. I have absolutely no skills to show until I found the most difficult dungeon hidden inside a D-rank dungeon. In the end, when I accepted my death, suddenly, I received a strange power, a mission log that only me who could see. It turns out to be a secret to leveling up, and that is only what I know about. If I go according to these missions and hunt monsters, my level will rise from the weakest hunter to the strongest S-rank hunter. This was an announcement for the new book, which turned out to be a new art despite its great similarity to the manga. Anime fans were a little disappointed when they found out that it wasn't a trailer for a new anime, but an announcement for manhwa, but this disappointment was quickly overcome when they finished reading the content of the story background. What can they say? Damn it! From the story, it looks like something great is coming on the horizon. A strange power that can turn the weakest E-rank hunter into the strongest S-rank hunter. What's the meaning of this? What is this strange power? I'm really excited about the new book. From the pictures on the art screen, this new art looks promising. Such enthusiastic discussions can be heard everywhere in the art store, whether in the markets, in the workplace, or outside the homes. Everyone has drawn to the content of the background. On an island that has an art store, young Mihawk looked at the art store screen, smiled before commenting. Interesting, looks like the hunters got their favorite book now. West Blue, O'Hara Island. The general mood in O'Hara was no different from the rest of the islands that have the art store. It was more of a festive mood, but after some time everything was back to normal. Well, everyone is still eagerly waiting for the new book to come out, but that's it. Rob is used to making great stories, so everyone has just one idea: the new art or the so-called manhwa will surely be as amazing as they used to be. After the art screen disappeared, little Robin, who was playing outside, ran toward her father, who was inside the art store. The childish expression on her face was as enthusiastic as other kids who love anime. Little Robin walked into the art store and then, like a cat who knows where to go, quickly entered her father's personal section and arrived at his office. Rob was using a computer and a printer to draw and print the manhwa first chapters. Since he decided to create a new art similar to manga, the best he can choose is the manhwa. The difference between the manhwa and the manga is very simple. The manga is drawn manually while the manhwa is drawn electronically. The high-level drawing talent Rob obtained from the Divine Network enables him to draw in any way possible, so it was no problem to even surpass the lavish drawing level of the studio that creates solo leveling. Rob was satisfied after he had finished preparing the first volume with 5 chapters. This volume will be the beginning appearance of the most famous manhwa in his previous world and the pirate world as well. The drawing was very professional. There was nothing Rob missed, even if it was unimportant. Even the people whose faces were not drawn in the manhwa, Rob has created their faces from his vast imagination and gave a more lively feel to this wonderful manhwa. It looked even more awesome than the manga. With this, even the people who don't like to read the manga will have to prostrate in reverence to its greatness. There seems to be a positive reactions to the story background. That's good dash. Immediately after he finished speaking, a swift shadow ran through his office door, and she arrived very quickly at his lap. Dad! What is the manhwa? It looks great. Is that it on the computer screen? Rob was speechless at this moment. This little girl's speed was no less than that of Rosinante, who ate the speed fruit. Yes, this is the manhwa. It's similar to the manga, but it has its own characteristics. Do you want to read it, my sweetheart? He, aren't you going to stop me from reading it as you kept me from reading One Piece manga? Little Robin has out her little tongue in her father's face, although she can't disobey her father's words but still feels sad when her father forbids her to read the manga. If it wasn't for the One Piece anime, the situation would have been worse for her. After her character appeared in the anime, she really started to realize some things that might have to do with her being prevented from pursuing the manga. My little sweetie, you know I'm doing this for your own good. One Piece manga is not appropriate for you to read at your current age. As for any other work you can read as you like, I won't stop you. As for Rob, he was doing this so that the Water 7 arc would not have too much impact on his daughter who has not yet reached her second year. Just thinking about what kind of sad feelings his little daughter would have to face when she saw that arc, whether in the manga or the anime, made him feel really sad. Rob didn't want his daughter to suffer any kind of harm, but he had no choice either. He couldn't stop publishing One Piece manga. Your dad has a reward for you. You will be the first to read your dad's new art. Really? Little Robin's eyes shone with stars, her little face was overflowing with happiness. That's exactly what she came here for. She wanted to be her father's first client who read that new book. After some time, little Robin read the first 5 chapters quickly from the computer. All this time, Rob was enjoying the change in his daughter's expressions who was so excited. Jinwoo was too pathetic, everyone in this hidden dungeon abandoned him. What will happen to him, Dad? His leg was cut off by that huge stone warrior. You'll find out in the next chapter. Chapter 239, the first volume of Solo Leveling is causing a stir. Monday morning. Today was exactly the day many people expected, not because it was the first day of a new week, but because it was the day that the first manhwa volume would be released. Solo Leveling. Yeah, since the new art has been announced, it is almost the dominant subject in the global and the local chat rooms. Even if people try to forget it, they can't, because they will find a lot of people talking about Solo Leveling in one of the chat rooms. So the aspirations for this new art have been raised to the top. If it doesn't meet the requirements and is of less quality than is being promoted, then the result can already be expected. This uproar wasn't hidden from the eyes of the world government. Of course, anything that came out of the highest bounty criminal in this era could not be unconcerned by the world government. The moment the word hunters was mentioned in the background story of Solo Leveling, the 5 elders, and Ima knew that this new book was specifically conducted for hunters, so they were willing to make use of it to develop their government guild and tighten their grip on the hunter's domain. The morning sun rose over Skypiea, Alabasta, and Marigoa before anywhere else due to their natural elevation above sea level, heralding the beginning of a new day. As soon as the sun rose, life began to move again, and it wasn't long before a familiar green bright appeared from the art store. This means only one thing: art stores are starting to work, and new art has already appeared on the shelves. In Alabasta and Skypiea, everyone who woke up ran to get their manhwa book before the books ran out. Given the time difference between regions of the planet, they were the first to benefit. In Marigoa, excited expressions appeared on the ugly faces of the celestial dragons. They were unable to control it. They quickly took millions of berries with them and hurried to the art store in groups. Given the huge hype in the past days about Solo Leveling, they sure had a huge appetite for reading the so-called manhwa. Maybe it will make up for the severe shortage left by the end of the Bleach manga, who knows? Get out of my way, oh! Isn't that Saint Ferdinand? Who was pushing me? Oh, isn't that Saint Roswald? Saint Ferdinand had a flat face and a nose full of snot. His face could be said to be quite disgusting to see, like the celestial dragon who tried to push him away. But these two celestial dragons exactly loved the manga to the point of madness, so even though they were enemies before the art store appeared, they became friends after his appearance. It can be said that their common love for the manga removed all previous enmity between them and turned them into friends. Big smiles appeared on their faces and they hugged each other while entering the art store together under the strange gaze of their guards and slaves. Pangea Castle. In the hands of the mustachioed Gorosei appeared a book with a different design from the manga. The cover of the book was black mixed with purple and blue, and on the cover was a black-haired man wearing a headdress jacket, and he carried 2 daggers. The same guy was covered with intense black shadow energies and had a blue glow emanating from his eyes. Under the guy's picture is written, Solo Leveling, by the Japanese language, the original language in this world. Just by looking at this man, anyone can easily conclude that he is very strong, and he's the protagonist of this story. The mustachioed Gorosei looked at his comrades. They were all holding the same wonderful book in their hands. Let's start reading it, I think it will be good. Well, I'll start reading. I agree with you. I wonder if Lord Emu has started reading this manhwa or not. Equals 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 equals. The portals that connect our world to the other dimension are called gates. And beyond these gates are dungeons where evil spirits lurk within. Person 1, huh? A dungeon? Person 2, a dungeon has opened. Person 3, looks like the hunters will be here. Awakened beings who hunt the evil spirits in these dungeons are called hunters. My name is Sung Jinwoo. I am a hunter. Jinwoo, I'm going to give it my all today. Except, I have to fight with my life on the line even in a low-tier dungeon because I'm an E-rank hunter. Lee Juhee, you're injured again? The weakest hunter of all mankind. Jinwoo, I need to pay off my mother's hospital bills. I can't afford to quit being a hunter. However, hidden within a D-rank dungeon lay the most perilous test of all, a double dungeon. Jinwoo, huff huff, damn it. In the end, I wasn't able to avoid death. With my last breath, I let out a blood-curdling screw, and in that exact moment, I woke up in a hospital room. Also, your daily quest has arrived dash. Accept this quest? Daily quest train to become a formidable combatant. Incomplete, push UPS. 0 out of 100. Incomplete, this IT UPS. 0 out of 100. Incomplete. Squats. 0 out of 100. Incomplete, run 10 kilometers. 0 out of 10. Caution, if the daily quest remains incomplete, penalties will be given accordingly. Jinwoo, what is this? From that day on, I had a new ability. I was given a quest board that only I could see. I trained as I carried out the quests, I hunted monsters, and I leveled up. Jinwoo, alright, let's get down to business. Ding, level up. I started as the weakest, and now I have risen to be an S-rank hunter, the strongest of them all. It all starts now. To be continued. Equals 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 equals. It's really different from the manga. It looks a lot easier to read. It's fast-paced, bloody events from the beginning. Is this the world of hunters? After reading Chapter 0, the mustachioed Gorosei turned the pages toward Chapter 1 and began to read quietly. The more he read, the more he discovered new things. This is another modern world similar to the HXH world in Bleach. Don't say to me it contains a dark continent too. The so-called gates that open in any place of this world are more terrifying than the dark continent. It seems that this world is mired in trouble. A lengthy discussion took place between the 5 elders about the new hunter world for a while. They could understand a lot of things, but what they couldn't comprehend was the so-called quest board or system. This was something that allowed Jinwoo to become stronger every day. It's extremely strange. This quest board is a bit like a global chat board, isn't it? You have a point. Let's finish reading. This manhwa is great, but the chapters in the volume are way less than the chapters in the manga volume, unfortunately. Most of the points that attracted the attention of the 5 elders also attracted the attention of all the other people who were reading the manhwa at this moment. Except for people who just want to read for entertainment, like celestial dragons. On Hunter's Island, ring hell. Page flipping sounds can only be heard inside the art store. The only art store where you can see a lot of pirates and hunters is just this store. Not any pirates and not any hunters, but the most famous of them. B-rank and A-rank hunters and pirates with bounties of over 100 million berry, even beast pirates were here. But at this moment no one bothered to get into trouble, because they all read the new book with interesting expressions. Of course, the pirates were less concerned compared to the hunters who were reading as if their lives depended on it. Unfortunately, the 5 chapters were not enough to quench their thirst to see the power system of this world. It wasn't dependent on Nin like HXH, but rather they have what's called magical energy. This brat Jinwoo is too lucky. I thought he was dead, but it turns out that he passed the dungeon test. This story is interesting. Look at the global chat room, millions of people praise it as a good story. I didn't like it, it looked boring. A world without pirates. What good in this world? Even if it is a civilized world? But there are monsters. I think the author treats us, the pirates, like evil spirits in this world. This sky sword is really hateful. Chapter 240, Legendary Hunters Meeting. Shaki joining. Gates. The portals that connect our world to the other dimension. Since these gates first appeared 10 years ago, many inexplicable events have occurred. A good example is the introduction of awakened beings called hunters. Awakened beings are endowed with permanent power upon awakening. I, too, have been awakened, but my feeble powers make me E-rank. I'm slightly stronger than the average person, but definitely much weaker than other experienced hunters in higher ranks. Awakened beings pass through gates into dungeons to fight against magic beasts. Those who do this for a living are called hunters. And sometimes, beyond these gates, terrifying monsters that makes you fall into despair appear before you. Jinwoo, Mr. Song. This dungeon has rules. Song Chi-Yui, what do you think you're doing? Are you crazy? Jinwoo, if what I'm thinking is true. Song Chi-Yui, your eyes tell me you haven't given up on hope yet. Jinwoo. That statue doesn't attack all moving beings. To be continued. Equals 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 equals. Global chat room. Plus 2.000 460 messages. Mr. David, North Blue, what a desperate situation the protagonist has been falling in from the start. Poor woman, Paradise, I wonder how he will get out of this desperate situation. Chapter 0 clearly shows that he was saved and went to the hospital. Byakuya fan, South Blue, there are a lot of differences between the manhwa and the manga. In the manga, there is no spoiler, but in the manhwa, there is a huge spoiler at the beginning of the story. Solo, New World, I don't see it as a spoiler, it sounded like a teaser show to me. Solo Sizer, East Blue, let's of the spoiler. Didn't you see that these statues look like they were invincible? How the hell would the protagonist solve the puzzle of this dungeon? I'm excited about the next volume. The Grand Line, Paradise, Little Garden Island. Inside the art store, Little Garden. These giant statues Rens are really scary to humans. But to us, the true giants, they will be nothing more than stone toys. Gagiagia. Maybe that gigantic statue might be a more difficult stone toy to handle, Gabababa. Dory and Bragi laughed so hard at their jokes which didn't laugh their guests at all. A nice smile appeared on the face of the blind man in the purple cloak as he said, "For people of your level, I don't see a problem calling these stone beasts as toys, but that huge stone titan can't be called a toy. Even for me, I might have a problem dropping it. Doesn't it seem like you're overestimating it, Isho-san? With your gravity ability, even if it's very strong, you can destroy it." The black cloak young man looked at Isho and said with great confidence. He knew how deep Isho's gravitational power was. Maybe except Rob, he was the only one who knew Isho's true power. The black cloak young man didn't believe his nonsense at all. The hell? He could even summon huge meteors from outer space just by sending his gravitational pressure into space. Ha 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 ha. You must be kidding, Hawk-chan. Maybe I'm less good than you at dealing with this kind of beasts. I think it would be easier for you to cut them all with your black sword. Even if you can't at your current age, I'm sure your version of the manga can cut them like vegetables. My Hawk felt angry. This bastard didn't change at all. He's still intentionally underestimating his power. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, he'd think he was telling the truth. Here, your drinks, guys. The latest one was added to the list by the husband. He said it was a gift for you all for the first 10 numbers meeting. Oh. Thank you, Belmir-san. Belmir was dressed in a red maid's outfit. She looked very beautiful and had a kind of powerful charm. This wine is called D'Amalfi Limoncello Supreme Kama. I don't understand why it's called like that. But tasting this divine wine will make you taste the most precious nectar in the world. Rob-san said that this wine is the most expensive in his store. I didn't believe it at first, but after tasting it, I couldn't help but believe it. Knowing that one bottle is worth 100 million berries. Now, you must know the value of what you drink. This time a beautiful young woman with short black hair, dressed in a black maid's outfit exactly like the red outfit of Belmir, spoke while smoking a cigarette. After hearing what their hunter partner said, Dory and Broggy's hands stopped in the air as an embarrassed expression appeared on their faces. You mean these 2 little bottles equal our head's bounty? Ha 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 ha. Isho laughed at the 2 funny giants' reaction, even though both were no longer giants inside the art store. Yes, exactly. Seeing and tasting this kind of drink that doesn't exist in this world is exactly why I joined this guild, even though I retired from the sea a long time ago. He. Shaki-chan, as if like you're doing anything instead of drinking and enjoying reading manga. You've really been having a great time since you joined us. Yes, the woman in black maid clothes is Shikuyaku, a member of the Rocks Pirates in the past. Rob met her on Amazon Lily Island on one of his visits there, and it turns out she was waiting for him. Rob is surprised at that time by the strange request of this woman. She has closed the bar she had recently opened in the Sabaody archipelago and came to look for him to include her in his art store. She wanted to work in the art store on Women's Island as a store goddess. Rob didn't turn down her request as he was happy to recruit a strong and beautiful woman like Shikuyaku, but he had no idea of getting such a woman in his harem. He didn't want to become his best friend's enemy for something as trivial as getting an extra woman. Rob made her join his guild and become one of the numbers as a condition of giving her what she wanted. And he didn't expect her to actually accept his condition. With this, Shikuyaku became a legendary hunter in Rob's guild. Actually, I'm having a great time. I didn't expect all these surprises when I tried to join the art store, but I think you're having a better time than me, hee. Right, Bella-chan? Belmir understands what Shaki means by goodly time, and her face turned a red shade. That wraps up this part of What If Becoming a Mangaka in One Piece World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.